Before we start today, our mayor will have a nice recognition of the Girl Scouts troops of 16380.
Thank you, Mr. President. We're going to start off here tonight. I'll read you a few excerpts for those at home. The girls It took the form of a partnership with the nonprofit PA Connecting Communities on a program for people with intellectual and developmental disabilities demonstrating how to plant flowers. It also included the creation and donation of a sensory board for the Murraysville Community Library, which the troop presented on June 6th. The board was created entirely through donated materials with a variety of tools, kellers, latches, hinges, and buttons. They also made flyers and bookmarks for the library on how to interact with people with intellectual and developmental disabilities. The troop, which includes 21 members, was split into two bronze award groups. A second group is working on an animal-related sustainability project that will be presented later this year. I had prepared 6 meritorious citations, which I'd like to read one, but I'd like the girls to come up also and stand with me. Come on up. And the troop leader. Hand the camera to someone else, please. Okay. This is the Girl Scout Troop 16380 for creating and donated to the Murraysville Community Library a sensory board for guests with disabilities and for providing additional materials for guests to learn about interacting with people who have intellectual and developmental disabilities. And you should be proud of your accomplishments. Thank you. Now I want to give each one of you a chance to say something about your project. How's that?
Our project our project was based off we all have this vote, and then we all decided to do the people's community, and in this people's community we chose to have differently abled people. And then in this differently abled people, we had different ideas coming from different people, and then we chose one idea and stuck to that idea.
Sensory board, which was an additional donation to the library, the Murraysville Community Library, which is right here. So we each donated items like buttons, like colorful like textures. We took papers and fabrics, and we all stuck them onto a board, and we gave them to the community library. It was a very fun experience for all of us, and I really hope we'll be able to do it again.
Me too. I'm so proud of the girls, the entire troop 16380, even the animals team. They just finished their project as well, and they donated squirrel boxes and cat boxes, litter boxes to a wild animals shelter. Girls had individually put in at least 25 hours of their time to do the research, as well as finding what exactly needs to be a part of the project. PACC was a wonderful partner along with the Murraysville Community Library. We worked very closely with them to find out what exactly needs to communicate with a person with a disability, with a physical disability, as well as intellectual and developmental disabilities. I'm very proud of them. The next step is Silver Award, which I'm sure they're going to make a very big difference in the community. And after that, it is the Gold Award, which is the highest award. And even President signed that award. So yeah, that's amazing. Thank you so much, Mr. Mayor, for giving us this platform. Girls, and the leader is very proud. Thank you. Thank you.
We're very proud of all you all. Thank you for helping our community very much. It's a good record. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. Okay, before I call to order, I'd just like to let the people of Rustic Ridge in Plumboro know that we're thinking of them and our prayers are with them. They've gone through a lot. Thank you. Okay, roll call, please.
Mr. Lehman,
Here.
Mr. Spadaro,
Here?
Mr. Dice, Dr. Lee Corns,
Here.
Mr. Stekanovich,
Here.
Mr. McKenna,
Here.
Mrs. Ling,
Present.
Mayor Sinan.
I pledge
allegiance
to the flag
Of the
United States of America
and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice
for all. Okay. Announcement on listed amendments.
No unlisted amendments.
No. Thank you. Approval of August 2nd meeting minutes. Accounts payable and cash investments and transfers. Is there any questions or comments about that? Need a motion to approve it?
I'd like to make a motion to approve the consent calendar items.
Second the motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Okay, comments by Mr. Mayor.
Thanks, Mr. President. Start off with the first slide. On behalf of the municipality of Murraysville, I would like to express our heartfelt condolences to the family who lost their lives in tragic explosion and ensuing fires that occurred in Plumboro this past Saturday morning. We stand ready to help our neighbors in Plumboro any way we can. I'd like to thank our fire departments who assisted Plum Fire Department, that's Sardis, Murraysville, and White Valley, and also Medic One for the support they gave to Plum at this tragic incident. I'm sure it was a long, arduous day, especially under the circumstances. I also want to thank the following volunteer fire departments who came to Murraysville to provide fire protection for our citizens. Irwin had a truck in Sardis and in Murraysville Station. South Buffalo, which is near Freeport, had a truck in Sardis. Bradenville, which is near Latrobe, had a truck in White Valley. Handistown was in White Valley, and Forbes Road Rescue was standing by for vehicle accidents. Next slide was Tuesdays at Townsend's. We have August 22nd coming up. Derek Beatty, it's from 6:30 to 8 p.m. And that may be the last one, I'm thinking, for the summer. So if you want to catch one, it's a good one to catch. Next is the Star Party with the Amateur Astronomers Association, Friday 18th at Murraysville Community Park, Field 6. Information is called here at the Rec Department or MurraysvillePARecreation.com for further information. And the next slide, we're just taking the opportunity to honor the girls of Troop 1630 again. I think that number's wrong up there, but we'll 380. That's what I have on my paper. Thank you again. Thank you for coming to the meeting. Appreciate it very much. Thank you. That concludes my comments.
Okay, Mr. Nestico.
Yes, just a few brief comments. We were notified by Comcast that they submitted an application to the state for ARPA funding to complete broadband infrastructure updates, upgrades within the municipality of Murraysville. I wasn't able to make contact with Comcast to find out what those locations are, so we'll try to learn of that, but they're applying for funding to expand broadband accessibility in the municipality, so that's a positive note. And just a few other items regarding upcoming council meetings. I would expect that next month's meeting will have the short-term rental ordinance discussion that some folks are asking about, because we had a few absences this evening. That item will take place in September, as well as the MMO calculation for our pension plans will be on the agenda for the upcoming meeting. So that's all for this evening. Thank you.
Thank you. Community input. We have anybody signed up? Thank you. Ryan Miller. Please state your name and your address, please.
Hi, my name's Ryan Miller, 3573 Meadowgate Drive in Murraysville.
Thank you.
So I just wanted to share a few minutes on the short-term rental discussion. May I approach the board with some statistics I have on my property? That'd be okay? Yep, okay. So I had the opportunity to listen to the past few meetings online in regards to the discussions. I reside at Meadowgate during the summer months with my children. We come up in the winter to go skiing. We do rent out the home about 33% out of the year to short-term rental guests. During the last meeting, it was mentioned that there were several complaints with parties going on and too many cars in the driveway from a home with owners that resided in Florida. I assume that was in regards to our property, being that there are so few short-term rentals and we do reside in Florida. And so I just wanted to address those two issues. In regards to the parties, we've had two, I would call them family gatherings. They were both approved by our property manager, where some guests had their family over. This took place during Easter and Thanksgiving. The guests were gone by 9 o'clock or so, but there was, I wouldn't call it a party with loud music and disturbing the neighbors, anything of that nature. Those were the only two quote-unquote parties that we've had there. The reason I can confidently mention this to the board is we do have Ring cameras on the front and rear of our properties. Me and my wife, as well as the property manager, are able to view those Ring cameras on a daily basis when we do have tenants there. And so if we were, in fact, if there were parties there, we would notice other guests coming into our home that were not on the guest list, additional cars in the driveway, maybe people congregating outside in the evening hours. None of that has taken place. We do take great pride in our home, being that it is our home away from home. In regards to too many cars in the driveway, before I came, I actually went through every tenant we had over the past year from August 1st of last year to August 1st of this year. We had a total of 28 bookings, and the average amount of cars in our driveway were 1.6 during that time. So I believe the claim of that we're having too many cars in the driveway due to the amount of tenants we have in the house is false as well. The average amount of people who stay with us is 3.7 per booking. We do allow up to 8 personally, but no more than 8. We just had a request last week, someone that wanted to stay with 9 people, and we turned them down for having one extra person than we do allow. So I come here today, I think, just to give you more of a landlord's perspective of our rental. This is not a party house. We are not some savvy real estate investors from Florida. My wife was born and raised in Murraysville. We enjoy coming here and seeing friends and family in the summer, as well as winter months as well. And when we're not here, we're able to rent it out. In the mortgage industry, we had a bit of a crash, so it allows us to keep our home and still enjoy it, during the off months. And I won't take up too much more of your time, but in regards to the ordinances, I would humbly ask that they be reasonable. Putting 5 acres in place, or even an acre, would eliminate many of us from being able to rent out the home. I'm all for permitting. We do have a long-term permit that we did get through Murraysville. There was nothing short-term in place when I applied. With those permits, I would just hope that if there were issues, they would be investigated. I think a lot of what's going on is hearsay. And so, if we were in fact a party house, there would definitely be police reports and in proper documentation if that was, taking place there.
Okay,
So.
Thank you very
If you had
much.
no other questions,
Mr. Miller, how long have you rented this house out?
I'm sorry?
How long have you rented the house out?
About a year, so
So these
around August
statistics
1st of
reflect
last
it.
year
Okay,
we started.
thank you.
Can I ask a question? Do you use a service to rent your house out through like Airbnb or VRBO or anything like that?
We do. So you mentioned the two sites that we use, Airbnb and VRBO.
Those are just the two I know, I guess.
Yes.
Booking.com, maybe. I don't know if they do that or not.
Booking.com is an option. We use those two that you mentioned, where we're actually able to vet every tenant that comes into the house. And so the reason I know we had 75% of people that came to visit family are people are encouraged to give a description of why they're coming to Murraysville.
It's a good.
So they're not coming to party. They're coming to visit family. They're coming for a holiday, for a birthday party, a funeral, a college graduation. That's why people are coming to Murraysville to stay.
Okay. So when you say you vet them, is there like a rating system in place or something like that through these apps or sites that you
There
use?
is. So both the landlord and tenant are rated every stay. So we average about a 4.8 rating out of 5. But in addition to that, we're able to see the tenant's rating that want to stay. So if they're a 1-star, that's probably not someone you would want to occupy your home.
And what if they have no rating? What if they're brand new to the app?
So that would be landlord discretion. We've had that come up and we have allowed them to stay without a rating, and they were perfect guests. We actually have had very few instances at our house at all. I think the biggest instance we had was some red wine or something that was spilled on our carpet. But really, in the past year, it's been pretty flawless.
Thank you for taking your time to come up here.
Thank you.
Yeah, these statistics are
One
good.
other question. The property that you live in, I presume it's zoned, what, R1, R2, or?
So that I'm not sure of.
What
It's
neighborhood?
Meadowgate. It's
Meadowgate's
probably
what?
an R2.
What neighborhood's Meadowgate?
Okay.
Meadowgate Drive.
That's probably, it's over by us, I think. No, that's
That's Meadowbrook.
That's Meadowbrook. Meadowgate is off of North Hills Road, I think.
That's correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
okay, thank you.
Mike, do we know the complaints that, whether that was for theirs or not? Were they from the same, was the complaints from the same person, or were there multiple complaints from different people?
The feedback that I received wasn't relative to this property.
Okay.
It was a different property.
But even that different property, did the complaints, like the couple complaints, were they from the same, maybe a neighbor that didn't like that, or were they from different?
I can't say that I knew.
We don't know.
But the complaints were about late nights, many vehicles at the property, things like that. But it was not this property.
Okay, Tom Pike. State your name and your address.
Good evening. My name is Tom Pike. I live in Forest Hills. I'm here to speak tonight on behalf of the 35 members of Protect PT that do live in Murraysville. I was born and raised in Murraysville, and I'm here to comment on proposed ordinance 1075-23. So as I said at the hearing last month, this is a strong ordinance. It would do a lot to protect the air and the water that your constituents breathe and drink. It would prevent their backyards where their children play from becoming toxic underground landfills. I encourage you to pass this ordinance tonight. I'm a little disappointed you didn't add provisions requiring operators to carry liability insurance. I mean, I drive a car. I know many of you do as well. I'm required to carry liability insurance. I'd like to think that I'm a little less dangerous than a heavy industrial facility. So it seemed like a common sense addition to me. There will be opportunities to add this kind of thing in the future, though. So look, we're not looking to throw the baby out with the bathwater. If you can add this kind of thing via amendment tonight, I think that would be great. But if not, if this comes down to an up-down vote, this ordinance or no ordinance, I urge you to vote yes on behalf of the 35 members we have in Murraysville, their families, and their neighbors. Please vote yes on ordinance 1075-23, and thank you for your time.
Thank you. Okay. Is that Laura Vincent? Laura? She say?
She's coming.
Oh, she's coming, okay. Name and address, Laura, and you have 3 minutes, which I forgot to tell the rest of them.
Okay. All right, good evening. My name is Laura Vincenti. I live at 127 Ridge Lane here in Murraysville. I'm actually a new resident to Murraysville. I moved here from the South Hills, where I spent many years, but more importantly, I worked in Washington County for many, many, many years. I'm here to address the injection well ordinance. And again, having spent so much time in Washington County, I am familiar with the effects and the danger when the fracking industry goes wrong. Injection wells, you know, will affect our whole community. Certainly, I'm concerned about our children, but I'm also concerned about our elderly residents. Many have existing health issues. Well failure, et cetera, can exacerbate those issues. I do appreciate that the council is being proactive in putting in place an ordinance around injection wells in our community. I have to say that I have seen recent meetings, and I know that there were some proposed, some recommended changes or tweaks to the ordinance. I'm a bit disappointed in the decision not to amend the ordinance to include bonds be set aside to ensure that wells are plugged in the event that they have reached the end of their useful life, or hopefully are hopefully not abandoned. Unplugged wells, while not an immediate problem, is something I hope to see addressed in perhaps future versions of this ordinance, because unplugged wells can leak contaminants into the air. They can leach contaminants into our groundwater. And the longer a well is left idle, the greater the risk of well casing failure, again, which could have drastic effects on our community. So again, I respectfully ask that you consider these issues. Certainly now would be great, but keeping it on the radar screen for future revisits of this ordinance. I appreciate the work that you're doing around this, and happy to be a member of this community. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anybody else who would like to say something that didn't sign up? Okay, thank you very much. Okay, liaison comments. Mac, you want to start?
Sure, I can start. Not a lot new. Big thanks to the Parks and Rec Department for last Saturday, the concert in the park. I know we didn't get the fireworks off, but they worked very hard and had some good time early. So.
How were the crowds?
I mean, they had a good turnout earlier in the day, and then about 6 o'clock is when it started getting real bad, and they kind of shut things down and fireworks. So hopefully we'll be able to have some fireworks at a different date. We're gonna try and schedule something with that. Again, Mayor already said the biggest thing coming up is just our last concert in the park on 22nd of August at the concert at Town, or not at the park, Tuesday at Townsend on the 22nd. So that's all that's new.
Hey, Matt, thank you. Yep. Jamie Ling.
The past school board meeting was this past Monday, and there was nothing of mutual concern really that was brought up. So next meeting is next month. They have combined all future meetings into one per month.
Jamie Lee Corns.
I have nothing substantial to report from last meeting. Continue to monitor carefully.
All right. Thank you. Carl, I think you have something.
Yes, the Parks and Recreation Foundation met on Monday the 7th. A couple of things that it was indicated that We do need more members in the board. It's just too few of us there. I'm the liaison, of course, but there's going to be a concerted effort to have or recruit additional members. Between this meeting and the meeting that'll be coming up in September, it was indicated that we will do all of the people that were present at the meeting do a thorough review of the Hill Group report, which was a robust report, and also review the bylaws so that we're sharp with the bylaws, and review the survey results that were conducted with respect to all of the neighborhood parks. And with the objective of coming up with 3 major projects here for the future. One seems to be already identified, and that is pickleball, and as to also to find 2 other major projects. And that was about it, and we'll be meeting next month.
Okay, thank you, Carl. Jason?
The library meets tomorrow evening.
Okay, thank you very much. And Medic 1 meets tomorrow night. Okay, moving on here. No workshop items. I guess that takes us right up to community development. Someone would like to make a motion for 14A?
I'd like to make a motion to adopt ordinance number 1075-23, an ordinance of the Municipality of Murraysville, amending Chapter 220-31, standards for specific uses, adding subsection EE injection well to the code of the Municipality of Murraysville.
Second.
Thank you. Jamie Lee and Jamie Lee Collins. Any questions or discussion on this?
I have one question. Are they required, in order to get their license through the state, to be bonded? So they are bonded even though the requirement is not in the ordinance for them to be bonded to us.
I can't say that I know that answer with certainty, but I would anticipate, based on the nature of the operations, that these companies are all required to have certain levels of bonding and insurance, as well as the municipality having, the same level of insurance. So I don't know that answer offhand with regard to state requirements, but I would suspect that is the case.
Yeah, I guess the same questions on the liability insurance. I would assume they would carry that for their state license. We're just saying we don't have a local bond here, correct?
Not listed under this municipality.
Under this ordinance.
I mean, I'm sorry, under this ordinance, that's correct.
Right.
But there are other safeguards in place as well. It's certainly something that could be added in the future. In talking with the solicitor, there are other safeguards that protect the municipality. And these are obviously major corporations. It's not that they're small startups or other fly-by-night companies that are doing injection wells. So the companies that would be doing this are significant in size, and certainly there are safeguards in place to protect the municipality should someone come along proposing to do an injection well in the municipality.
Right.
I recall correctly, the injection wells are permitted through the federal government, they're not permitted through the state. They do not currently have a permitting process. They do have a review process. But I'm not aware of any federal regulations as regards to bonding or insurance. But certainly if Michael has had his business, they would be carrying that.
I think also the one aspect was brought up about capping of a well, that it was brought to my attention that here in the Western Pennsylvania there was a well that required capping, and the amount of money to do that is almost to the extent of what it costs to drill a new well, meaning like $25 million. I think my point is, what I've heard is that this ordinance can be amended, if you will, as we go along. And I, for one, would wonder this aspect of, in that it does cost so much to cap a well, should there be some kind of a bond put in place or not? So on that basis, I like the way the ordinance is, but certainly we should look at a couple items in addition to the current ordinance. And I would agree actually with Mr. Pike, so yeah.
I understand. I agree. We certainly have the ability to do that. Whether we would amend this ordinance or whether we took those revisions and added them into the existing version that you have tonight, we would still have to go out and re-advertise and go through this process one way or the other. So the comments that came in at the public hearing, if we were to modify anything, we would have then re-advertised the ordinance, and again, we can do that whether it's through an amendment or through the original adoption. So one way or the other, getting the ordinance in place was the most important priority. If we feel that there aren't safeguards or adequate safeguards, we can always revisit it and amend the ordinance. So we can, I'll talk with the solicitor again, and we can evaluate our options, and we can always come forward with an amendment. That wouldn't be an issue at all.
I concur. I think we share concerns. I know we all share the same concerns to protect the safety and well-being of our community. But I'm in favor of getting an ordinance in place much sooner rather than later, and then revisiting with new information.
I don't think there's any imminent injection wells going in, so I think it definitely has time for an amendment if it's something that's deemed capable. I agree. I concur.
Yeah, I agree with that too. I think I'm not as concerned on the liability insurance and whatnot because, like Mike said, some of these companies that are doing it are pretty large companies that have a lot of those things in place. But the capping part would be the part that I'm most concerned with, because if a company went under, something went awry, whatever, and they just walk away, there's an open well there. I mean, I think there needs to be some type of safeguard in place for that in the future. But I agree, I think the ordinance needs to be put in place sooner than later, and we can always adjust as we see fit.
Okay.
I agree, fine. It's fine how, I like how it is now.
I'm sure we'll have further discussion after tonight, so. But anyhow, any other questions or comments?
No.
Okay, all in favor of this ordinance? Please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Okay.
Did we have a motion?
Pardon me?
Did we have a motion?
Yes.
Yeah.
We did, okay, yes.
Okay, next item is 15A. We'd just like to have a motion for that.
Okay. I'd like to make a motion to authorize advertisement of the draft MS4 pollution reduction plan for public comment.
Second.
Jamie and Jamie again? Okay. Any discussion on this? Any questions? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. 15B, would somebody like to make a motion on 15B?
I'll make a motion to authorize advertisement of ordinance number 1078-23, an ordinance accepting streets located in the Barrington Heights plan situated in the municipality of Murraysville, County of Westmoreland, and Commonwealth of Pennsylvania as part of the public highway system of the municipality of Murraysville, County of Westmoreland, and Commonwealth of Pennsylvania.
Second.
Thank you, Matt and Jamie. Any questions or discussion on this?
What I would ask on this is that just, and is this individual, is this Emily who's checking this out?
Yes, that's right.
Related to that, because we may get lost in the following parts of the meeting, but how is her progress coming along with, I know she's working under a professional civil engineer. Is there any progress on that?
Relative to her
becoming a basically professional engineer.
well, she's still finalizing her schooling, so I think she has maybe a year left regarding the education component. But the training internally has been going well under Bob Maital's guidance. So she's been coming along very well. She's kind of spearheading projects like this and the MS4 program, the pollutant reduction plan that was just passed by council. So I would say she's coming along very well. She's almost done with her schooling, and then we can evaluate how she fits in here after that and keep things moving.
I know we're only voting to advertise this, so maybe this question's more appropriate for the next the next, when this becomes a voting option on the agenda to vote the roads into our care. But one of those roads experienced a significant slide at one point. Just curious if that's been acceptable to our civil engineering arm.
Yes, and that's a good question. So I think it took some time to get to this point to consider the acceptance of these roadways because of the slide. But the developer did rectify the issues. They did forefront of that, and all of the feedback and the analysis came back positive, and that's why the item's on the agenda this evening. So everything kind of has been cleared regarding that slide and the, I guess, the results of it.
Okay, thank you.
I think from what I understand too, she's been working closely with the developer, and they post a bond for that too, like an 18-month bond.
That's right, and that's exactly right. And it's been some time that she's been working on this to make sure that those issues were resolved before we would consider acceptance.
Great.
The time has now come where they've done that we've asked of them, and so the request is now before council.
Any other questions?
Nope.
Okay, all in favor of the motion?
Aye.
Aye.
Say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Okay, looks like we're right up to
Old business.
old business.
No old business.
No old business? Any new business? No new business, okay. Right now, I need a motion to adjourn to the executive session.
So moved.
Second. Favor, say aye.
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 Okay, adjourned.